Do you know how they say that history is often stranger than fiction? Well, that's completely true. Every now and then, we randomly come across interesting, unknown historical events that are so bizarre that we can't believe they actually happened. Let's begin with the top 7 bizarre historical facts. The Great Emu War of Australia. Australia is no stranger to weird historical events, and this one might just be at the top of the list. In 1932, during the Great Depression, farmers were growing more wheat to survive. This attracted more than 20,000 migrating emu birds to attack the farmlands for sustenance in the erratic Australian climate. You may be wondering how this led to a war. You see, the flock became so big that farmers had to ask the Ministry of Defense for help. Eventually, a small group of armed soldiers were sent to wipe out the birds with weapons. During this mission, hundreds of emu birds were killed at first, but their growing number, fast speed, and unpredictable movement made them difficult targets. That's how Australia declared war on emus, making it one of the most funny historical events. Pepsi had the world's 6th largest military. Russia loves Pepsi. In fact, Russia is Pepsi's 2nd largest market after the United States. In 1959, during the Cold War, Richard Nixon visited the Soviet Union to convince them of the benefits of capitalism. During this visit, Richard Nixon and Nikita Khrushchev engaged in a heated argument so intense that the vice president of Pepsi offered Khrushchev a Pepsi to calm him down. And it was an instant love connection for Khrushchev with the soda, and he wanted more Pepsi in Russia. But there was one problem. Russian money was worthless and wasn't accepted worldwide. So he had to get creative. And thus a weird historical exchange was planned. In 1989, Russia offered Pepsi a trade, billions of dollars worth of Pepsi in exchange for submarines, military ships, and a significant amount of vodka. This made Pepsi the 6th most powerful military in the world for a brief period, marking one of the most obscure events in history. Pepsi later sold its fleet to a Swedish company that scrapped it. The Dancing Plague. In July 1518, a strange phenomenon started in Strasbourg, Germany. A woman called Frau Trophäa started dancing uncontrollably in the streets without any reason. More people joined her, and within a week, around 400 people were uncontrollably dancing in the streets, causing chaos. The people dancing seemed unable to stop. They danced constantly throughout the day and night, leading to some deaths from exhaustion or stroke. Doctors believed that the outbreak may have been caused by a combination of factors, including mass hysteria and a form of poisoning caused by a fungus that grows on rye. This bizarre event left historians confused, making it one of the most unusual events that can't be explained. Adolf Hitler nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1939, Erich Gottfried Christian Brandt, a member of the Swedish Parliament, had the unusual idea to nominate Adolf Hitler for the Nobel Peace Prize. Talk about strange incidents in history, and this one will be on the top for many. It is believed that this nomination was meant to be a satirical critique of the political situation, but the nomination was canceled a couple of days later. This caused a lot of controversy, and eventually, it was decided that no Peace Prize would be awarded that year. Fun fact, did you know that Time magazine named Hitler Man of the Year in 1938? The magazine explained that this title is given to those who make an impact, regardless of it being negative or positive. The man who survived both atomic bombings in Japan, Tsutomu Yamaguchi, is the only man in the world who has survived not 1, but 2 atomic bombs, making him one of the unluckiest people on Earth. On August 8, 1945, Tsutomu was on a work trip in Hiroshima. On what was supposed to be his last day of the trip, an American bomber dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima. Tsutomu was less than 2 miles away from ground zero, and the blast ruptured his eardrums and burned his upper torso, but he survived. After spending the night in a bomb shelter, Tsutomu continued his journey back home to Nagasaki on August 9th. As he was telling his boss about the blast in Hiroshima, the same white flash filled the room. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was badly burned and exposed to massive amounts of radiation, but he survived the second bomb as well and lived to be 93. The Tanganyika laughter epidemic. The Tanganyika laughter epidemic is one of the most mysterious events in history. In 1962, there was a mysterious outbreak in Tanzania that caused uncontrollable laughter. This laughter epidemic started with 3 students in a girls' school who just couldn't stop laughing. This eventually spread to over 1,000 students, making it one of the craziest stories in history for all time. This outbreak was so uncontrollable that the school had to be closed for several months. This epidemic lasted for a few months. The cause of these mysterious events in history remains unknown, but it was believed to be a case of mass hysteria. The Kentucky meat shower. In 1876, a rather weird incident occurred on a random morning. What appeared to be chunks of red meat started to fall from the sky in Olympia Springs, Kentucky. Most pieces that appeared to be beef were around 2 inches long, and some were as big as 4 inches. Confused people on the street who dared to taste the meat say it was beef, lamb, deer, bear, horse, or human meat. The cause of this bizarre history event remains a mystery, though some theories suggest it was vomited by vultures flying overhead. This has to be, without a doubt, one of the most random events that can't be explained.